Frank. Okay, I wanted to keep trying to kind of work at this, but I just figured this would be a good break for me to kind of go over what I've done so far, and so um, and just kind of present what I'm aiming to try to accomplish, and just like really at this point, like I'm reaching out and I need help because um, I don't have it all under control here. So I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. But the point being is, so here we have what was coded for the shopping app, and my script that I'm using is just this main JS script. Um, so I can give it a little more room in one of these directions. There we go, just a little bit. So the idea here was that you could hit this add item, and there's still like a tooltip I need to add or something, but you click it and it reveals this area, and then you can start typing. Notice that there was some uncut. A lot of these errors I don't understand what they mean yet. I've seen them before, but I'm still not very familiar with what it means. I'm afraid that mainly what I've written is like, I won't even say the declaration, but I've written some functions, but they're all based on calling, hey, call this ID or class and then run this method on it or something, or here this event handler. That's pretty much all what I've done. And a lot of it's not even done well. So like another thing I wanted to do here was click this write module button and wait. So right here, this is what the way I interpreted doing that is call this write module ID on a click, run this function where the write module, and then set a timeout function to occur in 7 seconds. And what would happen is you would grab this and slide it up. So the idea is that after they tap this write button, assuming that like they type something, and even if they didn't, it wouldn't matter. But say they were to type, apples or something, and then they click write. The idea is that obviously it would submit it, but I wanted to test what would happen if they just clicked it, and then after 7 seconds would this entire like area slide up and leave, because the whole idea is like, okay, well, he's done. After 7 seconds, if he hasn't entered and clicked the button again, just like close it, because he's probably done entering list items. Because generally speaking, if you're entering list items, you tend to be pretty fast, one right after the other. But so 7 seconds seems to be a lot of time, but at least that's the playing variable in this case, is how much time it would take for the user to stop interacting with this area. I was thinking on a key out, but that didn't really work. Right? I don't think it really works that way. So it's like when they keyed out of the form field, then it would start the countdown for like 5 seconds. But I just figured that clicking the right button would be the right trigger in this case. So after 7 seconds, if they didn't enter anything, then this would just slide back up, and you would have to click the add item button in order to reveal that. So kind of go back to its refresh state where you would have to click that button to reveal it. Okay. Here in my pseudo notes, I put trying to target LIs inside of the item UL to set an event to be triggered when the LI is clicked. I want the styles and the span and p tags to change when the LI is clicked. So here naturally, what I have going on here is some foundation. So here's my container. Here's my row. Here's the particular row for, what was I trying to show you? Alright, so this is for the list items themselves. So here on the list items, which is this bottom row, I have an ID called all items. Inside of there I have an item wrapper, and then I have an item UL. So basically I'm saying UL items, LI items that are within this class item UL, whenever those are clicked, run this. And what I have is just two if statements. So if this list item here, so let me actually bring the code. I think it would probably be a little easier to, I know it looks a little big. Just give me a second and let me kind of make the code a little smaller. So here I have the UL, item UL. I'm going to stretch this out. And So naturally, here's the li inside of that. Within the li, I have a span for this checked off, which is this guy right here, and then I have a p class, and then I have another span class for the delete icon here. So all of that is obviously within an li, and then all of the li's are obviously within this ul called item ul. So you can see that my thinking here was, well, if I target the li inside of the ul, item ul class, and on an on click of the actual li, so I want the whole li area to be clickable, what would happen is if this li span tag right here, because this is a span, is checked off, so if that li span is checked off, then take this and remove the CSS checked off, which is the class. It should probably say remove class, not CSS. So that might be my mistake there, but let me see if that's how it was. Let me pause this real quick. Okay, so that didn't work, but I did have the wrong method here. I had removed CSS, which I think is also a method in the API. No, it's not. Sorry. So there is no remove CSS. So there's remove class and add class. So what I'm saying here is that if this li right here, if the span inside of the li, sorry, forgive me. So if the span inside of the li is checked off, then on this element, remove the class checked off and add the class checked on. So in other words, like saying, okay, if I click this row, and it's not working, but if I click this li item, then this icon will turn to this gold one, which is the checked on. And as you can see, this text right here is the checked off or list got class, and then there's a list need. So none of these are working too, because then I wrote another if statement saying if the paragraph with a class of list need that's inside the li, maybe I should get more specific and say which is inside the ul item list or whatever I called it. What is it? Item ul. Sorry, item ul. So if that's there, maybe that specificity would make it work. No. So yeah, I know I'm messing things up because either my if statements don't work or they don't do anything, but I'm not really certain like what else to do to make that work. So you see what I'm trying to do, like when you click this list item, and I guess maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, because I mean you also do have a delete button, and it's gonna command its own space here more or less. That's gonna be tapped. So I could just say when you click on the span tag itself, change it. That might, like if I instead did span dot checked off. Maybe I should just keep it that specific. Okay, so yeah, that does work in this case. So cool. I guess what I would also like to have happen is maybe if that's up there and I didn't, because all I'm trying to say is that if this span is checked off, then on this remove class and do this, but now it's not going to be on this anymore for the list item, because see how this is the paragraph tag that's after it, so it's a completely different node. For me to try to like include it in here as this, because this is only applying to this span tag here, not anything else. But I guess what I could do here is, what is the I forgot how to get the next node, the immediate following node. It's like child or something. Anyways, it's probably not that. I'll look it up, but I'll see if I can also then change the preceding element that's a P to be the opposite of what it is. So like if it's on list need, I obviously want this class to be, you know, list got. So I'm just putting the class on so that it's like this. Obviously, everything will refresh back to its default state, which is another thing I'd have to learn how to deal with, how to not let the refresh affect that. But that's the whole idea. So you would click, again, literally this check mark, and not only would it make this gold, but it would cross out the text. So that's what I'm trying to do here, in other words. And I'm trying to make it on as big of a clickable area as possible. So I think that might have to come down to the actual element itself, which is the list item. It's a pretty good size. If that could be tappable and have this work, that'd be great. But right now, as you noticed, I couldn't get it to work. It's not working the way I thought it was, where if I target the list item and click and then make both of these elements switch their classes, I could accomplish what I'm trying to do. But sorry, I'm getting really wordy on what I'm trying to do, and hopefully one of those two ideas that I just kind of presented there could work, and now I could figure out what I'm missing to actually make those work. The next thing is I have no idea how to actually push this when I click write, how to actually get it to add it to the list. Like, I don't even know how to begin thinking about that. And then obviously this delete button. I want to just be able to click it and have it delete that list item. So I'm still working on a couple things. Here I was able to just do, like, if you click on the text, but I wanted it to be smoother, so I have to re-watch some of the videos and figure out how to make that transition a little smoother, not just jump. But what I'm doing, and I don't like what I'm doing, is I'm targeting, first of all, I just basically created two variables. I did the switch button and the switch track, and the switch button is just calling the class switch button, and the switch track is just calling the element with the switch track class on it. What it's doing here is it's saying on P, which this element of P that has a class of need, on click, run this function, which is basically take the variable switch button that's calling the switch button and just add CSS left 0, which I think is sloppy. I'd rather do a class. So I think I should do, instead of CSS, add class, bam, so that all my classes are on actually my style sheet and I'm not writing CSS inside of my jQuery or my JavaScript. The same is true of pgot, so that's this paragraph text that when you click it, it just moves this switch button left 49 pixels, and that's all great and all, but I also wanted it to somehow be like, how do you actually click and drag this button itself? So like, that's what I'm missing. How do I do that part? So I'm trying to figure that out, just so I can, you know, it'll just be better if someone can actually click and drag this, or just tap the other end of it, which is very common too, to make it just slide over. Like, how do I tell it to do that? So there's a couple additional user interactions that I definitely want to have included. So yeah, I kind of went over this area. Never goes away. Like, after the, I don't know how to write, so we're still missing a couple things here. And I've kind of, and you'll notice here that I wrapped, and I may be so wrong in doing this. Sometimes, like these that didn't have semicolons at the beginning, but I felt like they needed to, so I just put them in. That could be a very wrong approach. I've been over this with you before, but I know in general any statement that ends a line will have its own semicolon and kind of say, hey, this is over, move to the next one. That's particularly true in something that's wrapped or nested like this function. But notice everything is inside of the document ready. That one's here, so I have everything inside here wrapped within that. And I just kind of start in any order. I know I probably should maybe list my variables at the top, or at least at the top of the scope of its functions. I don't know if that's good practice. Here were the notes where I was trying to kind of say what I was trying to do. So what I would continue here in writing see here. Sorry. Yeah. So what I would continue to do here is say when right button is clicked, um, item is added to menu list. So I still have to write that function, which I was kind of discussing here in the screencast. I can really figure out how I'm going to post it, but I'm going to go through the other lessons in Thinkful too and see if I can figure it out. So the switch toggle needs to have additional interactions. Click and drag slider button and press on opposite ends of the track to move it, as well as give it a smoother transition effect, which I may end up taking into CSS, so I may not even need to use a jQuery method for that. The next thing is delete button to remove list item. What else? Because I know you already saw that I was trying to accomplish when you click on the list item, it'll check it out. When you click it again, that's another thing that I should consider too. It'll have to toggle. List item will have to toggle from got to need state, essentially on off state when the li is clicked. Okay, what else we have then? I think that's it. Oh, and then basically the sorting. The sorting for the still need and dotted need to bring filtered list items to the top. So if they are they're all got items, so example would be all items with the got, and I don't know if I should add this as an attribute or what. With the got attribute will be pulled to the top or prepended. I haven't even been able to explore this, whether this theory would work, whether I'd be able to prepend, or like essentially when something is clicked, like these list items will have to toggle from on and off state, but they should also be adding and removing an attribute to class the sorting. So I'd have to also add some kind of attribute, and I'm missing that as well in my code. And the sorting for the still need and got it need to bring filtered list items to the top. Example would be all items with the got attribute would be pulled to the top or prepended. But like I said, I haven't really tested that theory out yet. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I know I need to add like a tooltip or something up here, but yeah, I mean, you essentially refresh it, you expose it. The click to kind of hide it again is important. So I need to figure out how to actually do that. But the rest is, I think I covered it all. So, I mean, I'm not asking you to write it, but just help give me some pointers on where my errors are, how to take my thinking to get me through these kind of problems. Here was kind of my pseudo writing it out to figure out what I still need to do. But I guess it's kind of like there are certain other things like I wanted to do. So at least I figured out, yeah, I get if I click on one of these, I can add this styling to the button, but what if I want to actually click and drag the button too? Like, how do I do that? And how do I click on the opposite ends of the track to just have it slide over? And then obviously I'll add the CSS transition on my own, adding things to the lists, basically everything else I went through here. And I know I'm babbling right now, so I'm really appreciative that you would even go through this video. So just let me know your thoughts, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.